0 p.m. The lights are off, but the mind is not. Numbers move in the dark, rearranging themselves in ways that refuse to settle. The degree was earned, the job secured, the promotion achieved. On paper, the trajectory is correct. And yet the quiet calculation persists. Whether the car payment and the electric bill will both clear this week without another silent transfer between accounts. That tension is rarely the result of one catastrophic mistake. It is almost never a single reckless decision. The middle class does not collapse in flames. It erodes under the weight of 20 ordinary choices operating at the same time. The car payment that felt reasonable. The house the bank assured was affordable. Subscriptions that renew without notice. Retirement contributions postponed until next quarter. Each decision evaluated alone appears rational. Together, they redirect income away from building stability and toward maintaining appearance. Financial strain at this level is not typically a character flaw, it is structural. A system of normalized behaviors that quietly extract future wealth while preserving the illusion of progress. These traps do not announce themselves. They disguise as rewards, upgrades, conveniences, milestones, and once recognized, they become difficult to ignore. This is an examination of those traps. Not to moralize, not to dramatize, but because patterns cannot be broken while they remain invisible. Some of them look like success. Number 10. It does not feel like a mistake, it feels earned. That is precisely why it works. A raise arrives, it was deserved, performance justified it, effort preceded it. So the apartment improves, nothing excessive, just more comfortable. The car becomes slightly newer. Store brands are replaced with the real versions. Dining out becomes routine rather than occasional. Coupons feel like artifacts from an outdated identity. Income increases. The bank balance appears stable. Nothing seems wrong. What goes unnoticed is that savings remain unchanged. The additional income is absorbed before it is ever isolated. The lifestyle expands to match the raise with near-perfect efficiency. Data confirms the pattern. 36% of Americans earning over $100,000 per year live paycheck to paycheck. Even at higher tiers, the pressure persists. Goldman Sachs found that roughly 40% of households earning $500,000 or more report feeling financially stretched. At $500,000 annually, stress remains. The mechanism is simple. Lifestyle inflation scales with income unless actively restrained. At every earning level, spending rises to meet it unless interrupted. The cost is measurable. A $15,000 annual raise equals roughly $1,200 per month. Invested at an 8% annual return over 25 years, that alone becomes more than $1 million. No inheritance, no extraordinary stock selection, just the absence of lifestyle expansion. The difference between financial independence and perpetual motion often begins here. When income increases, and at least half of that increase is secured before spending adapts, wealth compounds quietly in the background. When it is not, the raise disappears into upgraded normalcy. The most dangerous trap is the one that feels like a reward, and it is entirely real. Number 9. It looks like stability, it sounds like success. It is, in practice, a long-term extraction of wealth disguised as transportation. Picture an aggressively average suburban street in the United States. Clean sidewalks, predictable landscaping. In nearly every driveway, a truck or SUV that has never seen a dirt road. Financed, extended, temporary. The average new car payment now sits at $772 per month. 1 in 5 buyers commits to over $1,000 per month for a depreciating asset. To make these payments appear manageable, loan terms have quietly expanded. The average auto loan stretches to 69 months. 21% now run 84 months. 7 years. A vehicle that will be 7 years old before it is paid off. Reliable transportation requires a new car. A new car requires financing. Financing is normal. The dealership structures the payment to fit the budget. Approval feels like validation. The break in the narrative comes later. By late 2024, nearly 25% of people trading in a vehicle owed more than it was worth. They were underwater by an average of over $6,000. Instead of clearing that debt, it is rolled into the next loan. The payment resets. The obligation grows. Ownership remains theoretical. The system is designed for continuity, not completion. Someone who perpetually carries a car payment, trading every few years, versus someone who buys a reliable used vehicle and invests the difference at 10% returns, ends up with nearly $800,000 less over 30 years. The disparity does not come from failed investments. It comes from uninterrupted payments. The truck in the driveway is not an asset. It is a structured liability with a polished exterior. It does not build equity, it consumes it. And the math is not speculative, it is arithmetic. Number 8. The numbers are already historic. Total U.S. credit card debt recently surpassed $1.1 trillion. The average APR on accounts carrying a balance exceeds 22%. Nearly half of cardholders carry a balance month to month. The original belief is that credit cards provide flexibility. Points. Convenience. Short-term liquidity. The minimum payment printed on the statement offers reassurance. Pay this amount and the account remains in good standing. The fracture lies in what that minimum represents. An average cardholder with $11,000 in debt who makes only minimum payments at 22% interest will spend approximately 22 years eliminating that balance. Total repayment approaches $29,000, nearly 3 times the original purchases, many of which are no longer remembered. The psychology is precise. Research from the University of Warwick demonstrated that when minimum payment amounts were removed from credit card statements, individuals paid 70% more toward their balances spontaneously. The printed minimum acts as a cognitive anchor. It becomes the perceived obligation. The brain registers completion once that figure is met. But the minimum was not designed to eliminate debt. It was calibrated to prolong it. Extending repayment maximizes interest accumulation while maintaining account viability. This is not cynicism, it is the business model. Carrying a balance at 22% interest guarantees long-term wealth erosion. The interest compounds against the borrower with the same mathematical certainty that investments compound for an investor. The trap feels manageable because the payment is small, the cost is decades, and the structure is intentional. Number 7. Homeownership has long been framed as a rival. Stability, maturity, the cornerstone of the middle-class dream. By mid-2024, the median home price in the United States reached approximately $435,000, with mortgage rates hovering around 7%. The monthly principal and interest payment on a median-priced home sits near $2,900 before property taxes, insurance, or maintenance are added. Add those back in, and the figure approaches $3,500 per month. To carry that payment without strain requires a household income around $110,000. The median household income is roughly $80,000. That gap does not eliminate buyers, it stretches them. If the bank approves the loan, it must be affordable. The approval letter feels authoritative. It implies analysis, prudence, endorsement. The break is subtler. The bank's threshold is not comfort. It is tolerable risk. The institution calculates the probability of default, not the probability of financial peace. Being approved does not mean a household can thrive at that level. It means they can likely survive long enough to service the debt. And then there are the costs rarely emphasized. Recent research from Zillow indicates that hidden homeownership expenses average roughly $15,000 per year beyond the mortgage. Property taxes, insurance increases, HVAC systems that fail during peak heat, roof replacements, appliances that age in coordination. That equates to another $1,300 per month, unadvertised in the original approval. The house at the top of the approval range is not a milestone. It is a commitment that converts flexibility into obligation. Buying less than the bank permits is not pessimism, it is margin. The bank's interests are contractual, not personal, and that distinction matters. Number 6. It is presented as efficiency, protection combined with growth, insurance, and investment in a single, responsible package. At some point, a life insurance agent sits across the table and describes whole life insurance with measured enthusiasm. 2 benefits in one product: coverage and cash value, planning and discipline. What is rarely emphasized is compensation. Commissions on whole life policies can exceed 100% of the first year's premium. The incentive structure explains the enthusiasm. For a healthy 35-year-old seeking $500,000 in coverage, term life insurance typically costs between $26 and $55 per month. Whole life insurance for the same death benefit ranges from $460 to $680 per month. The difference is the cash value component, which generally grows at approximately 1% to 3% annually. The traditional belief is that forced savings inside an insurance wrapper is prudent. Stable, conservative. The fracture appears under long-term comparison. If $50 per month is allocated to term coverage, and the remaining $450 difference is invested in a broad index fund, earning historical average returns near 10% annually, the result over 30 years approaches $1 million. Under similar conditions, the whole life policy may accumulate roughly $100,000 to $130,000 in cash value over the same period. And when the policyholder dies, the insurance company pays the death benefit. The accumulated cash value is typically retained by the insurer. The product is not fraudulent. It performs as designed, but its design prioritizes guarantees and commissions over growth. Enthusiasm on the sales side is understandable. On the purchasing side, caution is warranted. The numbers are public, the comparison is direct, and the outcome is measurable. Number 5. They are not reckless, they are not irresponsible, they are not unusual. Call them the Garcias, 2 working professionals. Combined annual income, $110,000. 2 children, all middle class. By every visible metric, they are doing what they were told to do. After federal and state taxes, their monthly take-home pay is approximately $6,800. They purchased a home at the upper edge of what the bank approved. Mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and ongoing maintenance total $3,100 per month. Two car payments combined to $700, $450, $2,000 per month. Groceries, utilities, phones, internet, another $900, $7,150, $6,800. They are negative $350 before discretionary spending, before gasoline fluctuates, before a birthday gift, before a single cup of coffee. The belief underlying their decisions was conventional. Education increases income. Dual incomes increase security. Homeownership builds wealth. Reliable vehicles ensure stability. Childcare enables career growth. Every institution approved their choices. The bank approved the mortgage. The dealership approved the loans. The university approved the student financing. Each transaction, viewed independently, passed a financial threshold. No one aggregated the entire picture. It does not add up. This is not a story about poor judgment. It is a demonstration of how ordinary approvals, layered together, create structural fragility. The Garcias are not an outlier case. They approximate the median, and the median is under strain. Number 4. The assumption has long been that two incomes are safer than one. Years before entering the Senate, Elizabeth Warren, then a Harvard bankruptcy law professor, studied thousands of families who had filed for bankruptcy. Her findings were counterintuitive. Households with two working parents were more likely to declare bankruptcy than single-income households. Two paychecks, higher risk. On the surface, a second income of $50,000 appears transformative, but the net impact shrinks under examination. Federal and state taxes at marginal rates can remove roughly $18,000. National average daycare for one child approaches $13,000 per year. Commuting costs add another $4,000 to $5,000. Exhaustion generates spending. Takeout replaces cooking. Convenience replaces time. House cleaning services, expedited shipping, prepared foods priced at multiples of their raw ingredients, another $5,000 to $7,000 annually. The net contribution of that $50,000 salary may fall to $7,000 to $10,000 per year. But the deeper issue is structural. Fixed costs, mortgage, vehicles, lifestyle, are calibrated to two incomes. Both paychecks become load-bearing. Remove one due to job loss, illness, or caregiving responsibilities, and the system does not flex. It fails. A single-income household of previous generations often maintained a reserve. The second adult could enter the workforce if necessary. There was margin built into the structure. Modern dual-income households frequently invert that model. Both incomes sustain baseline expenses. Savings, if present, are minimal. The security of two incomes becomes dependence on two incomes. The trap is not working hard. It is building fixed obligations that require continuous performance from both earners without interruption. Resilience is not measured by income alone, it is measured by margin. And margin, in many cases, has been engineered out. Number 3. It appears minor, fragmented, almost too small to matter. Ask an average household to estimate their monthly subscription spending. The common answer hovers around $86. Research from C+R Research places the actual average closer to $219 per month, an underestimation of more than 2.5 times. 42% of consumers are paying for at least one subscription they have completely forgotten. The original belief is convenience. Streaming replaces cable. Music streams instead of purchasing albums. Delivery memberships reduce friction. A gym membership represents intention. Cloud storage protects data. Free trials feel harmless. Individually, each charge is manageable. $10 here, $15 there, a promotional rate that auto-renews months later. Layered together, they become structural. A realistic stack in a typical household can include Netflix, Disney+, Spotify, Amazon Prime, DoorDash with Dash Pass, a gym membership, cloud storage, niche applications, software subscriptions that quietly converted from free trials. The total can easily approach $160 per month, nearly $2,000 per year. Invested at 7% over 20 years, that becomes approximately $87,000 to sit. The gym membership deserves isolation. Americans collectively spend billions annually on gym access they do not use. The justification is motivational theory. Keeping the membership will encourage attendance. Behavioral data suggests otherwise. The charge persists whether attendance does or not. Subscriptions are designed to avoid attention. Automatic renewal removes friction. Friction is what forces reconsideration. Without it, spending becomes invisible. The damage is cumulative, not dramatic. And the invisibility is the point. Number 2. It is not glamorous. It does not generate conversation. It does not feel urgent until it is. 59% of Americans cannot cover a $1,000 emergency with savings. 27% have no emergency savings at all. The belief is that stability can be maintained as long as income continues. Emergencies are assumed to be infrequent and manageable. The fracture occurs when inevitability meets unpreparedness. Brakes wear down. Water heaters fail. Medical bills arrive without negotiation. When savings are absent, these expenses are routed through credit cards charging over 22% interest. A $3,000 repair does not remain $3,000. It becomes $4,000, sometimes $7,000 by the time the balance is eliminated. The absence of an emergency fund does not simply create stress during a crisis. It permanently inflates the cost of every unexpected event by filtering it through high-interest debt first. This is the most correctable vulnerability on the list. A high-yield savings account. 3 to 6 months of expenses. Liquid. Untouched except for genuine necessity. It is unremarkable. It is not optimized for maximum return. It is not exciting. It is protective. And protection compounds just as reliably as interest. Number 1. Comparison used to be local. Now it is global, and it never sleeps. In 2024, the National Bureau of Economic Research confirmed what behavioral economists had long observed. When individuals learn that their peers earn more, they immediately increase spending on visible goods, cars, clothing, vacations. The reaction is not subtle, it is measurable. Keep up, appear stable, signal progress. Social media has accelerated the mechanism. What was once limited to a neighborhood block now operates in real time across continents. Promotions are posted. Renovations are photographed. Vacations are filtered and framed. The appearance of prosperity becomes constant exposure. The break in the illusion is rarely shown. That coworker's truck may be financed over 7 years with negative equity rolled forward. The neighbor's kitchen renovation may be funded by a home equity line of credit. The beachfront resort may sit on a credit card charging 22% interest, still unpaid months later. The display rarely includes the liability. Everyone is financing the appearance of abundance. Few are displaying the ledger behind it. And yet the psychological pressure remains. 63% of consumers report that emotions drive their purchases. 40% of online spending is impulse-driven. The average individual spends approximately $280 per month on unplanned purchases, over $3,300 per year. Shopping activates the same neurochemical pathways as exercise and social bonding. The reward lasts roughly 45 minutes. The charge remains far longer. The trap does not feel habitual. It feels like occasional indulgence. It becomes visible only when aggregated across years. $3,000 invested annually at 7% over 20 years grows to roughly $130,000. Stack impulse spending alongside subscriptions, convenience costs, and status-driven purchases, and the lifetime impact approaches $300,000 to $400,000. No single decision appears destructive. The accumulation is time. There is one final mechanism operating quietly beneath all of this. $500 invested monthly at 7% starting at age 25 grows to approximately $1.3 million by 65. The same contribution beginning at 35 produces around $610,000. A 10-year delay. Identical monthly effort. Roughly $700,000 difference. The average American begins saving for retirement at 31. Median retirement savings for individuals aged 55 to 64 stands near $185,000. Surveys suggest they believe they need approximately $1.26 million to retire comfortably. The gap is not mathematical complexity. It is behavioral bias. Present bias prioritizes immediate wants over distant needs. Retirement feels abstract, deferred, manageable later. Later accumulates interest on inaction. Automation neutralizes hesitation. Contributions that occur invisibly without monthly deliberation remove emotion from the equation. The most effective financial decisions are often those that do not require repeated willpower. Speculation. The temptation to accelerate wealth through speculation remains persistent. 90% of day traders lose money. The average active trader underperforms the broader market by roughly 6.5% annually. The Bank for International Settlements reported that a majority of retail crypto investors across multiple economies lost money on their Bitcoin holdings over a 7-year period. Yet each bull market generates renewed certainty. This time is different. This time the pattern has been decoded. $10,000 invested in GameStop at its 2021 peak was worth under $1,500 1 year later. The same $10,000 placed in an S&P 500 index fund during that period grew to approximately $14,000 to $15,000. The outcome was not dramatic, it was predictable. The index fund is unremarkable. It lacks narrative appeal. It does not trend on social platforms. It does one thing: compounds capital gradually across decades. For most participants, that is sufficient. Credit. A credit score measures interaction with debt, nothing more. It does not measure net worth. It does not measure savings rate. It does not measure financial independence. Yet many optimize behavior around it. Maintaining unused credit lines, avoiding early payoff of loans, even initiating small loans unnecessarily to build credit. Above approximately 740, the incremental benefit on mortgage rates becomes marginal. The difference between 760 and 800 rarely changes the outcome materially. Meanwhile, maintaining revolving balances or normalizing debt as a permanent tool erodes long-term wealth. A person can possess an excellent credit score and negligible assets. The two conditions are not contradictory. The destination is not a three-digit score, it is autonomy. Conclusion: none of these traps require recklessness. Most require conformity. Car payments are normal. Credit card balances are normal. Buying the house at the maximum approval is normal. Delaying retirement contributions is normal. Financing visible success is normal. And normal currently includes 62% of workers living paycheck to paycheck. Total U.S. household debt reaching $18.8 trillion. Median savings across age groups hovering near half of what is estimated to be necessary. Normal is expensive. Those who achieve financial independence rarely perform exotic maneuvers. They refuse common ones. They drive vehicles that do not signal identity. They purchase less house than they are approved for. They automate investments before income can be absorbed by lifestyle. At 35, from the outside, they may appear restrained, unimpressed by display. At 55, from the inside, they possess options. Options to choose work, to choose time, to choose direction. Money ultimately purchases flexibility. The story does not change all at once. It shifts at the point where one normalized habit is interrupted. That is where divergence begins. And divergence compounded becomes freedom.